Hey all, here at OS Reviews. You're watching our hands-on review of the Tweetie Smart Sunglasses. So these are bone conduction glasses, and we've already checked out a few pairs in the past, one by Vocal Skull just a few months prior, but what makes this one a little bit interesting is it has gesture controls. This was a successful crowd-campaigned product, and you can now pick one up for about $110 a pop. So if we take a closer look at some of its features, again, the whole premise here are really those head gesture controls. So you don't need to tap on any keys or commands, but there is a built-in gyroscope or accelerometer that detects your head as you're tilting it, so you can make motions like nodding, pointing left or right rapidly, to skip tracks, to change the volume, and to answer or reject a phone call without ever having to press anything physically. And here's a quick snippet that demos the product in their original campaign.
Adjust the volume and accept or hang up calls by moving your head up and down, no matter where you need Tweetie.
Otherwise, just like the aforementioned Vocal Skull glasses that we checked out, in terms of bone conduction, that basically means that there aren't any earbuds or ear tips which are physically sticking into your ear canals and blocking out noise. So it doesn't have the best noise isolation, but the whole point is audio transparency. So this technology could be useful if you're in a really noisy environment, like near a construction zone where you're trying to fight against other, loud sounds. It could be harmful to your ears compared to this, which enters through the bones. And secondly, if you want to be a bit more safe and aware of what's happening around you. The thing to know, though, is that this technology is not perfect, and also if you're an audiophile expecting the best pure hi-fi experience from the sound, you're probably not going to find it here. It's really meant for occasional music listening, primarily for answering phone calls, for communicating, as opposed to immersion and giving you the most bass or depth of the sound itself. The packaging includes the glasses case, which is very premium to touch. We also have another soft carrying pouch if you don't want to use the hardshell pouch for any reason. There's also a microfiber cleaning cloth for removing lint from the lens. We have a micro USB cable for charging up the battery. It takes about 2 hours to completely charge, and a very small user manual. But I would definitely recommend flipping over this because it basically tells you how to access all of the gestures. So again, to answer a call, you would nod once. To refuse a call, you would shake your head, like saying no once. To skip tracks, you can turn your head to the right or turn to the left to go to the previous track. And to turn the volume up, you look up. To turn the volume down, you look down. Immediate first impressions are the Tweetie glasses are a little bit larger than the Vocal Skull. If we compare the frames side by side, you can see that the arms of the Tweetie are a bit more rugged and slightly thicker. It's also slightly heavier as a result. But could also be because the design of the bone conduction piece is a little bit different. So the rubber pad here that needs to touch your skull or your head, again, is on the side of the Vocal Skull, but on the Tweetie, they're more towards your ears, and there's a larger kind of rubber strip. But otherwise, just acts as a normal pair of sunglasses in terms of giving you some shielding from really bright light. Now from the bottom, we can see there's the micro USB port for charging. Just like on the Vocal Skull, these are going to be splash-proof and rain-proof, but they're not completely waterproof. So definitely don't submerge them in water because, again, the ports aren't covered up. We also have a dedicated power key, and that's it. Again, the arms themselves don't have any additional controls like on the Vocal Skull, which need to be there to change volume, since everything here is controlled using motion. Moving into performance, starting with audio quality, the good news is they do get very loud. On the flip side though, there's definitely a bit of noise leakage. Basically anything that it's touching, and basically as it's vibrating the plastic arms, someone around you can still kind of hear what you're listening to, especially if you crank the volume all the way up. So again, if I'm pressing my hands really firmly across the arm, of course, the effect is not going to be as loud as you, the person wearing them, but for sure they're not going to be quite as passive or noise isolating from others around you in terms of the privacy element. So that is one thing to keep in mind. Sound quality as a whole is also fairly good. I would say, again, the emphasis is on speaking as well as communicating, but if you're watching movies or listening to music, I would say with mids, it does sound fairly clean, and they, again, do get plenty loud. Talking about the gesture controls, which I think is a really cool concept, what I found is you do need to make fairly deliberate movements. Now, one slight downside or quirk is there is no way to turn the sensor on or off. For example, if you're wearing the glasses and then removing them, sometimes you'll hit an accidental trigger because the motion has changed as you're tilting your head. By the way, whenever you're doing a different motion that it's detected, you'll hear a beep sound. And then changing tracks, I can just look there to the side. and you can hear how the sound has actually changed if you listen really closely there. So it actually is pretty effective. There's a split-second delay because it's, again, connected using Bluetooth, but you can use that motion to flick to your previous track or skip to your next track. Now, of course, the only issue is, say you are driving your car and you're trying to kind of look to the side of your mirror really quickly. Sometimes that is recognized as a gesture of changing the song, so you're going to kind of skip tracks involuntarily. So very seamless and kind of futuristic. Of course, if you're out in public and walking around, maybe flicking your head or nodding and doing these gestures might seem a little bit more strange, but overall it still works, I would say, surprisingly well, much better than I originally expected. Perhaps in a next generation model though, they will consider still bringing back some of the controls and keys as an optional way of pressing if you don't want to use the gestures necessarily, and again allowing you to turn it on or off depending on the situation, because right now they will be always turned on. So that's more or less it for our hands-on review of the Tweetie Smart Bone Conduction gesture-controlled sunglasses. As a whole, I think the concept is really cool, the idea of using gestures to be able to play pause your music. The audio quality compared to other bone conduction headsets is honestly average, about the same as what I expected, and the comfort/fit of the sunglasses are also pretty good as well. Now, there are some things to keep in mind, however. If you are looking for something exclusively for music listening and you want the best audio quality, you probably have to still turn outside of bone conduction technology at the moment. Also, the sensitivity of the gestures could still use a little bit of tweaking perhaps down the road. However, overall, if you are looking for a great pair of, again, bone conduction sunglasses, it's definitely one of the best values on the market when it comes to just giving you lots of new innovative features at a price that's very comparable to past editions which didn't have all of these features baked in. So you can check out more details if interested in the links down below, but for now that's been our video. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews. That's been the Tweetie Smart Glasses.